Hey guys, so today we have another video for you guys. It's the Plains Day 2 report. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for all the support on the previous video and thanks for all the feedback. So, Plain Days 2, we had 7 games, which means this video is probably going to be a bit longer than yesterday's one. Um, that said, just skip to the games you guys want to see. I'll try and give my recommendations on which ones are important, which one were entertaining. But yeah, let's get into it. So our first game of the day was between one of the teams that played in the first day, being Rainbow Seven, the Latin America team, and V3 Esports. So V3 come from Japan. They play in the LJL and they have quite a good roster. Um, Nothing too special, just some of the more prominent Japanese player that's been around for quite a while, notably Buggy, which is quite a good jungler. In this game, Victory 3 managed to get away with a win. This was largely expected. Many people think Victory 3 were the favorites coming into this game, and many people think that they are a dark horse coming into the tournament. Second game of the day was between INTZ and SuperMassive. This was SuperMassive's first game. They come from the TCL, which is a Turkish league. They have a very good roster, and they have a Korean jungler known as Kakao, and some people may have heard of him, but he won the Korean league in season 3, and he's been around the world playing, so he's quite a special player, and Supermassive are quite lucky to have him. But many people thought Supermassive would win this game, and they did end up winning it. Ints once again not managing to get away with the victory, but we'll get into that later. Third game was Victory 3 with the second game against the Unicorns of Love. The Unicorns of Love are from the LCL, which is a Russian league, and they have been around Worlds for the past few seasons. They've done quite well at Worlds, uh, and they are quite an exciting team to watch. So I'd recommend looking out at their drafts and some of their games. Fourth game of the day was between LGD and Rainbow Seven. This was probably the upset of the day. Once again, LGD falling short. Very surprising, especially seeing as though it was Rainbow Seven who has looked to be one of the weaker teams coming into the tournament. So quite exciting for Plains, seeing as the LGD are who were deemed to be the favorites coming into Plains have lost their 2 games that they've played, which is quite worrying for them. But we'll see how it evolves. The fifth game of the day between Unicorns of Love again and PSG Talon. Now these two teams are now the favorites going out of Plains. They both look pretty good at the moment, and this game was quite a good one. I think that Unicorns of Love are really looking quite entertaining, so if you guys are about that, then I'd watch that. Second last game of the day was between Supermassive and Mad Lions. Supermassive were able to come away with the win. Mad Lions still looking shaky. They've only won one of their 3 games, and even that game was quite quite bad and messy. But we'll see what happens to Mad Lions. This game was also quite nice. The last game of the day was between Team Liquid and Legacy. This game was just a massive stomp. Wouldn't even really bother watching that game unless you want to see what Team Liquid's all about. This game was super Team Liquid style. You could see how they play the game, and yeah. So unless you want to know more about Team Liquid, I wouldn't really bother. Okay, let's get into the games. So first game, once again, Rainbow Seven versus Victory 3. Victory 3 came away with a win, and you could see the drafts. we have a Elise Renekton on the side of Victory 3. Now, I'm mentioning this because it's quite a old school combo, but that combo has been very good because of the gank setup that Renekton gives you, and obviously the Elise Cocoon is just extremely powerful setup, and Victory 3 were able to use that to their advantage this game. The the Scion Ace didn't have a good game. His engages were not up to scratch. They Rainbow Seven drafted two marksmen, and they were trying to force fights when they had to wait for the other team to engage upon them. So they played the draft horribly wrong. Jose Diodo on the Nidalee also had quite an interesting itemization build there. He went for the AP Rod of Ages. He was going Lichbane, and he had a Magi's with one stack. He should have just itemized supportive, gone for the Athenes, gone for the Ardent Sensor, seeing as though he has two marksmen on his team, that would have just been way better. So Rainbow Seven, not a good game, not a good build from Jose Diodo. Ace did not look good at all. So Victory 3, quite an easy win. I would say that Archer had a pretty good game, but it's more just Rainbow Seven running it down, to be honest. Next game, we had INTZ versus Supermassive. Now, this game was super cool for me because we got to see a really good draft coming out from Supermassive. If you guys know anything about Hecarim, you know that he is a hard carry jungler, and that is exactly what Kakao is good at. He's good at hard carrying his team, and Supermassive drafted a comp that allows him to do that. You can see the Lulu, Senna, Shen all about supporting that Hecarim and the extra engage coming from the Nautilus. Armut, obviously the MVP, as you can see by his KDA, 10-0 on the Shen. He outplayed a 5-man dive on his tier 1, and he looked excellent in this game. Tay, 0 KP, had a rough game, but to be honest, Shen into Renekton, the Shen should win that, and yes, it was just a hard draft win for Supermassive. They picked a Jhin into a Shen Hecarim Nautilus, and it's just, how is Jhin ever going to deal with that? It's just not going to happen. They didn't have the necessary damage or CC to deal with Hecarim, so it was just a disaster for INTZ, sorry. So yeah, super cool draft coming out from Supermassive. If you guys want to see how good Kakao is and how good Armut is, I would recommend watching this game. Otherwise, it's quite a big stomp. Next game. So we had Victory 3 versus Unicorns of Love. This game was a pretty interesting one. We had a lot of lane swaps coming through. This means that the top lane went bot and the bot lane went top, and it kept rotating. So a very interesting game to watch. It ended up looking quite scrappy, which means just a lot of action. So it's quite an entertaining one. But as you can see, the Camille Cassidy just ran away with the game. And this is exactly the problem that Victory 3 had in this game. That they had a Scion Galio laning against the Camille Cassidy. This means that Camille Cassidy can just get free farm, they scale in super hard, and they can just split push if they want, or just dominate team fights. I think if you've played any league and there's been a Kassadin, you know that this champ, if it gets level 16, it doesn't even need many kills. It's a very hard carry champion, and that's exactly what No Man's did. we also had quite an interesting Oriana flex. She went to the bot lane, and that was to accommodate for the Kassadin pick. Just a very good game coming out from the Unicorns of Love. Um, I think that No Man's had a very good performance, but yeah, the draft coming out from Victory 3 was just super bad into Cassidy and Camille. So, once again, quite a common trend for Plains Day 2, draft diff. Next game, LGD versus Rainbow 7. Now, I was saying this game was the upset of the day. This should not have happened, and LGD really need to step it up. As we can see that Rainbow 7 went for quite a nice scaling composition, going with the Ornn Ori, something that's being really popular at the moment in planes. Ornn Ori is just extremely good. You can put it in any team comp really, but it gives you good team fighting, good scaling, and it's not really weak into anything. It's just kind of good at the moment. And Alone popped off on Ori. His shockwaves are incredible, and obviously Ase redeemed himself from the earlier game in the day, and he had a good game on the Ornn. Jose Diodo also had a pretty good game, but it was more just LGD just not playing the way they should. You can see they drafted the Camille TF. This is a split push comp coming out from LGD. They should not be looking for team fights, especially into the draft from Rainbow 7, which is a clear team fight draft. And the Camille TF kept attempting to join team fights, took really bad fights, and it was just not it, really. And I'm quite scared for LGD, seeing as though they were the favorites, as I've said multiple times. We could also see the Twitch Recon, which is also super popular at the moment in planes. It's a very cool combo. It's fun to watch. What the Twitch does is he goes invis, walks into the enemy team, and Rakan can E onto him and get quite a fast, hard to react to engage. But unfortunately, the Twitch Rakan I don't feel like meshed super well with the Camille TF who are looking to split. But yes, I would say that if you want to see a good team fight comp, Rainbow 7, go watch it. Next game, Unicorns of Love versus PSG Talon. Now this was probably the game of the day, looking at the strength of the teams in planes at the moment, that being PSG Talon and Unicorns of Love looking to be two of the strongest teams. But something went quite wrong for PSG Talon in draft again. We could see they have four melee engaged champions in the Volley, Echo, Set, Alistair, and Unicorns of Love drafted an Oriana Swain, which I don't know if any of you have ever played any dive champion into Swain, but it's not a fun time. He just presses ult, doesn't take damage, deals a lot of damage. It's just not fun to play into. If you want to play against a Swain, you need range, and they had none on PSG Talon besides for D on the Jhin, and the scoreline actually reflects that. D had a pretty decent game, but the rest of his team comp was just not good into Unicorns of Love. We had a very nice game coming out from Santos on the Rakan. He was able to peel a lot with his ult and W for against the melees of PSG Talon. But yes, once again quite a hard draft loss for PSG Talon. And yeah, it's not that they played super badly mechanically. It's just very difficult to play into the draft of Unicorns of Love, and that's something we're seeing a lot. Unicorns of Love know how to draft, and they have a lot of flex picks. We've seen the Gadget bring out the Ori bot. We've now seen him bring out the Swain bot. Very cool. If you guys are into pocket picks and unique picks, I would look at Gadget. Super cool player. Probably plays more off meta things than Marksman. So super exciting player. Next game. Now this was also an upset, but judging from Madline's performance in day one of Plains, it wasn't that big of an upset really. SuperMassive, they had the cool Shane Heckram draft early in the day, and they had a good draft once again into Mad Lions. Mad Lions draft is quite confusing in a way. They tried to replicate what Team Liquid did on the first day of Plains against Mad Lions. So they tried to do what beat them, and it didn't really work out. We can see Humanoid had a bad game, Arome had a bad game. Shadow, his scoreline doesn't look too good, but he couldn't really have done much. He went for some nice invades against the Nidalee, but ultimately the Nidalee, you can see 16 KDA, perfect game coming out from her. Once again, Kakao flexing his muscles, very good game from him. But the MVP of the game was Almut in the top lane. He absolutely shit on Arome. Sorry for the language. Not that I think you guys care, but this was just a huge top diff. Arome got the counter pick into the Wukong. People believe Maud beats Wukong, and Almut managed to just turn the matchup around and super hard carry the game. Almut's looking really impressive in Plains at the moment, and this is exactly the worries people had for Man Lions coming into the tournament, which was that Arome was not going to cut it. And if you're going up against some of the stronger top laners later on in the tournament in group stages, it's going to be an even harder loss for Mad Lions. And that's really worrying. Once again, we see priority on the Rakan Twitch, which is a nice combo. But the Zoe doesn't really fit into the draft. I don't see what she's trying to do for Mad Lions. And yeah, the Zen to Hecarim Twitch Rakan is good. And the CC support coming out from the Leona and the Senna. It's just a super nice comp from SuperMassive. Really excited about this team. Really excited about their top side of the game, mostly coming from Armut, Kakao, and Bolulu. So super exciting team. Would recommend keeping up with them. Worrying trend for Mad Lions. Arome needs to step it up. Humanoid had a bit of a bad game. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. He was on the Zoe, so yeah. Next game. So this was the last game of the day, and like I said to you guys earlier, this was just a stomp. Team Liquid versus Legacy. Team Liquid just ran away with the game. You could see super good performance from Broxer. He managed to just get all the kills, but don't be deceived. Jensen absolutely smurfed. You could see the mid diff is massive. 1 and 6 versus an 8 and 1. He, what many would think Lucian shouldn't do too badly in Dory, he absolutely made that matchup look unplayable. Jensen did really well. Super good player. Really abused Tally. And the bot lane didn't do anything really this game from either side. It was super top focused. Another worrying thing is that the top lane on Legacy, Topoon, got the counter pick into the Ornn, and Ornn was beating him up. Impact's looking very strong at the moment coming into Worlds. Team Liquid knows what they need to do. They need to draft team fights. Once again, the Orianna Ornn combo coming out, and yes, it's just how Team Liquid like to play. Play it slow, play for team fights, smash your enemies into the ground in team fights with your scaling, and yes, just looking extremely good. Impact, Jensen, Tactical, Core JJ, Broxer, all performing quite well. I would say Broxer not looking amazing, even though his KDA says so. He kind of just last hit every kill. It wasn't too insane or anything. It's more just the gents and gap of this game. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for my World Plains Day 2 report. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry that it was a bit longer. I can't really do anything about them having 7 games in one day. If you guys watched all of it, I really appreciate it. If you only watched some of the games, that's perfectly fine. That's what I want. And yes, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.